What determines your resources? We've said decisions shape destiny, which is my focus here. If decisions shape destiny, what determines it is 3 decisions. What are you gonna focus on? Right now, you have to decide what you're gonna focus on. In this second, consciously or unconsciously, the minute you decide to focus on something, you gotta give it a meaning. And whatever that meaning is produces emotion. Is this the end or the beginning? An emotion then creates what we're gonna do, or the action. So think about your own life, the decisions that have shaped your destiny. And that sounds really heavy, but in the last 5 or 10 years, 15 years, haven't there been some decisions you've made that if you made a different decision, your life would be completely different? The history of our world is these decisions. When a woman stands up and says, no, I won't go to the back of the bus, she didn't just affect her life. That decision shaped our culture. Or someone standing in front of a tank, or being in a position like Lance Armstrong and someone says to you, you've got testicular cancer. That's pretty tough for any male, especially if you ride a bike. Right? You got it in your brain, you got it in your lungs. But what was his decision of what to focus on? Different than most people. What did it mean? It wasn't the end, it was the beginning. What am I gonna do? He goes off and wins 7 championships he never won once before the cancer because he got emotional fitness, psychological strength. That's the difference in human beings that I've seen of the 3 million I've been around, because that's what my lab. I've had 3 million people from 80 different countries that I've had a chance to interact with over the last 29 years. And after a while, patterns become obvious. You see that South America and Africa maybe connect in a certain way, right? Other people say, oh, that sounds ridiculous. It's simple. So what shaped Lance, what shapes you? 2 invisible forces, very quickly. 1, state. We all have had times. Have you had a time you did something and after you did it, you thought to yourself, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. That was so stupid. Who's been there? Say aye. Have you ever done something after you do it, you go, that was me. Right? It wasn't your ability, it was your state. I should be able to change that quickly, but what I want to finish with quickly here is, your model of the world is what shapes you long term. Your model of the world is the filter. That's what's shaping us. That's what makes people make decisions. We want to influence somebody, we gotta know what already influences them. And it's made up of 3 parts, I believe. First, what's your target? What are you after? Which I believe it's not your desires. You can get your desires to goals, so it's needs we have. I believe there are 6 human needs. Second, once you know what the target that's driving you is, and you uncover it for the truth, you don't form it, you uncover it. Then you find out what's your map. What's the belief systems that are telling you how to get those needs? Some people think the way to get those needs is destroy the world. Some people is to build something, create something, love someone. And then there's the fuel you pick. So very quickly, 6 needs, let me tell you what they are. First one, certainty. Now these are not goals or desires, these are universal. Everyone needs certainty that they can avoid pain and at least be comfortable. Now how do you get it? Control everybody, develop a skill, give up, smoke a cigarette. And if you got totally certain, ironically, even though we all need that, like if you're not certain about your health or your children or money, you don't think about much more. You're not sure the ceiling's gonna hold up, you're gonna listen to any speaker. But while we go for certainty differently, if we get total certainty, we get what? What do you feel if you're certain? You know what's gonna happen, when it's gonna happen, how it's gonna happen, what would you feel? Bored out of your mind. So God, in her infinite wisdom, gave us a second human need, which is uncertainty.
If a win to you is being the greatest dad and husband of all time, then be the greatest dad and husband of all time. And if your number 2 priority is building your business, then it's in second place and it's gonna get what it can get. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't be really hardcore about second place, but 1, don't value yourself for results. I will tell you right now, all the wins in business that you're ever gonna get, all the money in the world, it's powerful, it's amazing, and you will love taking care of your family, but even that was a reorientation back to your true number 1, if I had to guess, which is your family. So be focused on that, right? This is really about my family. If the business isn't working out, if it's not going the way that you want, look, it's gonna be lame, it's gonna suck, but you're gonna have to alter your mind and remind yourself, my number 1 priority is my family. And what I value myself for on the business side is not accomplishment. It is not success. So decide what your priorities are and don't flinch. Don't be conflicted. Don't try to have my business is as important as my family, and really don't value yourself for accomplishment. It's all about sincere pursuit, okay? You cannot guarantee the success, but you can guarantee the struggle. So you need to extract value from knowing that you left it all out on the field. And that's it. That's all you can do. Greatness is about doing the things that are tragically boring and that you have to repeat over and over and over to get better at them in a deliberate way. You don't just want to repeat them blindly, but in a deliberate way, buckling down and doing the things like, for a musician, playing your scales, practicing your improvisation, practicing your cold reading, all of the things that are very easy to put off when you have a job and you're busy and you're making a living. It's kind of like typing. What they find is most people sort of, their typing rate, if I remember right, it's like 65 to 70 words per minute, is where most people tap out. But I think the record is somewhere around 250 correct words per minute. So if the average person is tapping out around 65, but the delta is all the way between 65 and 250, you begin to see like how far you can really push yourself. But people get to a level that they deem acceptable and they just sort of stop there. But because everybody is being forced to shut down right now, if you're a musician and you're saying, look, I'm not worried about streaming and going live and all of that, which I think there's a whole question to be answered about doing that and about how you could generate even more revenue by going online. But you asked me to set that aside, so I'm going to set that aside. But right now is that chance to embrace a level of boredom that most people are not willing to push through in order to get to greatness. So in a business context, I always tell people boredom kills more entrepreneurs than anything. It kills more entrepreneurs than fear. Most people, they just can't slog through sucking at something and sitting in the discomfort that you get from doing the things that you're not good at long enough to get good at even those things so that you can truly go out and create art. Because I don't think you can create real art until you've mastered the basics to the point where, as Bruce Lee said, you don't think kick, you just kick. And I love that quote. And there's another Bruce Lee idea, which is, I don't fear the man who knows 10,000 kicks. I don't fear the man that does 10,000 kicks one time. I fear the man that does one kick 10,000 times. And that is this moment. And if you can take this downtime and let go of how good it feels to perform, I have to imagine a big part of the reason you got into this and that you did all of the work when you were younger to get good is because you love performing so much. But right now, that's basically off the table. So if in this moment you can buckle down, be disciplined, set your sights on something very specific that you want to get good at, disciplined practice at that thing to get good at this. On the other side of this, you're going to be far more extraordinary than you were when you went in because you no longer have the distractions of the actual performance. You can just get down to practicing. So flip that switch in your mind and think all about coming out the other side of this, a beast, an absolute monster, better than you went in. And if you can tell yourself that story, I'm committed to this, I'm willing to do these things that other people aren't willing to do, and put in the practice and understand as you're going through that unimaginable boredom, that on the other side of this is a skill set that has utility, then this becomes an extraordinary time. But if you keep telling yourself the story that so many others are telling, which is this is, a time of deprivation, it's just lamenting that you're not able to perform and all the things that made you love music in the first place, then just because you're repeating that, it becomes a dark time. Focus on the other side and you will get through this amazingly.
Google success, see if you get it. Google exposure, see if you get it. You have to be exposed to certain things in order for you to know it. And success is hard. If I try to get my millennials to understand, it take a long time to make a lot of money. Daddy, you making money, I'm 61. It take a long time to make a lot of money. You can't just go make money because you got Google. Let me show you something. When you get on an airplane, you ever notice when you walk on an airplane and you walk past first class, everybody in first class got gray hair? You ever notice that? They all a little up in age. They all 50 and up, especially during the week. Them businessmen, they earn the right. You go in the back, it's young people back there. You back there. You got your iPhone out, you got your headsets on. Them grown-ass men up there got their legs crossed, they got a briefcase out. They trying to figure it out. They trying to make this paper. They in front. But you gotta be exposed to get to first class. You gotta be successful to get to first class. That's why they closed that curtain. See, they can't have your ass in back of that plane with that curtain open. You ain't gonna believe what's going on up there. They bringing out a hot washcloth. You can wash up. They passing out menus. Everybody get hot nuts. You get all you want to drink. You ain't got to pay for the headsets. You get to watch the movies free. You get a choice of what you want to eat. They gotta close that curtain. If you was in the back and they left that curtain on, you'd drive them people crazy. Hey, where my nuts? You don't get no nuts. Hey, how come I just got a half a can of Coke? That's all we giving you. How come these drinks is $5? He done ordered 3 drinks because he paid for first class. The seats is wider. Your knees can't touch the seat in front of you. It can't. The overhead space is plentiful for everybody. That's why they close the curtain. So what you have to do, you have to expose yourself to things early in life. This is my suggestion. Do whatever you got to do to upgrade to first class. If it's spend a little bit more money, it's sometimes when you buy the coach ticket, when you get at the counter, just ask them, how much is an upgrade? If they say $75, just pay it one time. What happens is, once you sit in that first class seat, you have now been exposed. The game changes now. When you see that there's actually room on each side of you in first class. When you discover that you can slouch in your seat, that your arm does not have to touch the other person's arm, that they're gonna bring you a hot towel, they're gonna give you a menu, they're gonna let you drink all you want. You ain't got to buy the headsets. Once you fly first class, it conditions your mind to look and think for first class opportunities. Once you fly first class, let me explain something to you. Walking past first class gonna be hard. Once you done set up there, flew a couple hours in first class, walking past them seats will be the hardest walk you make because you've been exposed.
Don't plan too much. Doesn't work. For me, it didn't work, frankly. Don't plan too much your career because what you're going to be facing in life is probably more powerful and much bigger than you ever imagined. So if you're following your plan, you may miss a lot of opportunity coming on the side, but you don't even look at them by saying, oh, I need to continue on my plan. Okay? Even though on the side, you're going to have a huge opportunity coming, you don't look at them. So don't plan too much or be flexible on the planning. You're going to have a lot of opportunity, particularly in the period we're getting in, 2010, 2020. I think there's going to be a lot of transformation coming and there's going to be a lot of opportunity, so be flexible.
But some of these mountains that can be climbed by you and me, it takes a day to get to the top, and then you camp up there and you come down the next day. And on many of these places in Switzerland where you could do that, about halfway up the mountain is what they call the halfway house, halfway up the mountain. So a group of people starts off with a guide in the morning, and about noon, you're kind of tired. You've been walking now for 4 or 5 hours, and you're coming up to the halfway house. And it's just it's a wonderful sight. Because as soon as you enter in the halfway house, you can smell the food, and they're getting ready for a good lunch, and you sit down, there's a fire in the fireplace, and there's nice soft chairs, and you can just rest your body and refresh your body. And
you've got to be very careful as an entrepreneur to be brutally honest with yourself. And those are some of the things that you'll hear from me as a mentor, that know what you know what you don't know, but you've got to know your business better than anybody.
I think the most important is knowing your strengths and weaknesses and knowing what you enjoy doing. If you look at it as a job, you've already lost. It's not going to be your passion, and you're going to count the hours. If you look at it as something you love to do, and then you know what your strengths are, then you can leverage those strengths in your business and in helping others. And once you recognize your weaknesses, then you can work with people that complement you. I mean, every one of my businesses, I've had a partner who's very anal. Martin Woodall, Tom. Wagner, I mean, incredibly anal people, perfectionists, because I'm a slob. You know, I'm a big picture, think about what's around the corner, how's technology going to change things, how can I change, you know, this industry, and, you know, making sure that there's somebody there to dot the I's, cross the T's, and keep me in the baselines, and, you know, recognizing my weaknesses is just as important as recognizing my strengths and my core competencies, and you know, having a passion to do them.
What do you do when it seems like suffering won't stop? What do you do when it feels like your pain doesn't have a point? What does it do when it feels like your weakness continue to worsen? Maybe you've taken a knockdown concerning your finances lately. Maybe it's with your kids, maybe with your marriage, maybe with your health, maybe some other arena of life. You're laying on the mat gasping and you don't know what you're gonna do. People ask you how you are and you say fine, but you're not fine, and they'll never know that. We're people. We're people, and we struggle, and we suffer, and we bleed, and we cry. And if you think that true strength means never showing any weakness, then I'm here to tell you you're wrong. You're wrong because it's the opposite. You're gonna get depressed sometimes. You're gonna have weeks where you don't feel like eating, or gravity is working overtime like it's afraid of getting laid off, and you can barely lift your fork to your mouth, and you're going to have a choice. You have a choice to either give up or keep going. Give up or get up. It's like you have to save your own life.